What do you want someone to feel the moment they've walked into a room you've designed?
Oh, I love that question. I want them to like take a deep breath and be like, oh, like feel like they've arrived somewhere special. And then I want them to like have their eye move around the room and take it all in. And I think about that when I design a room, like how the eye is going to move throughout the room so that there's balance but continued interest. I want them to feel like they're not overwhelmed by the space. It's not something they can take in an instant, that it takes a little bit of study and exploration to appreciate the bits and pieces and the details.
Who or what has influenced your style the most?
Oh, wow. Oh, gosh. So many things. I wouldn't say like one person or one place. Obviously, like travel. I love to travel. My daughter goes to school overseas for college, and so traveling there, I'm always inspired when I go to Europe. Other designers, Katie Rosenfeld, I hope I'm saying her name right. I think she's out of Boston. I feel like she does grandma chic better than anybody. Amy Vermillion, I think she's out of South Carolina. There's so many talented designers that not only do I get inspiration from following their content on Instagram, but I actually learn a lot of nuts and bolts from them. And I just really appreciate that everybody's willing to share their photo projects and their expertise, because we all learn from each other. There's always like a new thing to learn in this business.
What do you think is the most common misconception people have about interior designers?
People just think it's a lot of fun. It can look like a lot of fun if you're following an interior designer on Instagram, and don't get me wrong, it can be a lot of fun, and I love working with clients and I love making the selections. But people don't see is that we're waking up at 2 a.m. worried that the tile we picked for the floor in the mud hall is too thick and the tile setter is going to be mad at us, or that we forgot to tell the painters what finish to put on the ceiling, or that something's gonna come in broken and then be back ordered. There's just so many things that are not sexy that we are thinking about all the time and managing the details of. And it's a lot of hard work. I mean, it looks like magic when you see a mood board or an inspiration board, but there's hours and hours of work behind pulling that together. It's what we love to do, but it's not like easy and fun.
What does traditional design mean to you, and how do you keep it feeling current rather than dated?
I think at its core, traditional design is like layers. It's not just this sparse setting. There's warmth and there's texture and pattern. But how that's done and keeping it balanced and not overdone can keep things from getting too granny looking. And it can be simple things like, you know, you have a pinch pleated curtain, but it's on a French rod with a Euro pleat instead of a fluted French pleat. Like these little things that people don't really think about make a big difference. And they might not know how to articulate why it looks updated, but it does look updated. Maybe it's having legs on your couch instead of having a skirt to the floor, or skipping the trim and the ruffle but still having a patterned pillow. Little things like that, and kind of knowing how to strike the balance and where you bring those like more layered elements in and where you kind of like dial it back.
What first drew you to interior design, and was there a specific moment you knew this would be your career?
I've always been interested in how I felt in my space from the time I was a child, even the way I handled my dorm room before people were crazy about dorm rooms, to my first apartments. I always really cared about making it as nice as I could. And then of course I got my hands on my first house, and then I really got interested in how to execute good design in a home. So really just from my own personal experience was my interest in it. And you know, I started thinking about it probably in my early 30s. And then when I was just shy of 40, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I turned 40, I dealt with breast cancer, and just kind of lost my fear of what if I fail, and just kind of decided I'm gonna quit my professional sales job and I'm gonna put a card together and figure out how the business works and give it a go. So it was really in that moment of shifting in my life that I decided that I was gonna give it a shot. And you know, if I fell on my face, I would figure out plan C, but if plan B worked, then that would just be great. So I'm still doing it 12 years later, so I guess it kind of worked.
So you grew up in a 1930s Milwaukee craftsman's home. How do you think that shaped the way you think about a well-proportioned, comfortable space?
I think it shaped my interest in older homes and just the scalability of an older home, where in the size of a living room in an older home, if you put a sofa across from a pair of chairs, you have a natural intimate setting. Whereas sometimes with newer construction, the spaces become so large and the ceilings become so high that it sort of can feel like it's not to human scale. And so I'm very much drawn towards, I'm not opposed to working with new homes and new constructions. I think it's a interesting set of different challenges, but I think that sort of being dialed into sitting in a space where you can see the crown molding and the ceiling arch from any point in the room is just very appealing to me. And I really like that you can kind of draw in and take in all those details and appreciate them in that scale of house.
How would you describe your design philosophy in just a few sentences?
Philosophically, I think about the home's architecture when making decisions. It's sort of like a philosophy of taking, like, what is the home dictating for the project, whether it's a Craftsman or a bungalow or a mid-century modern house or a Victorian house or a Cape Cod. You're going to kind of think about the architecture of the house, and you're going to sort of pair that with the functional needs that the family is trying to achieve, as well as their aesthetic and what they like in terms of like the energy level of the design, the amount of contrast they want, the color palette. Do they want something driving more textural interest versus color interest or pattern, things like that. So it's sort of dictated by factors that are just present, between the home and the client, and it kind of spills out from there. So I guess my philosophy would be taking those cues and then letting the decisions be driven by those cues.
What's something about running your design business that surprised you once you were actually doing it?
Oh, wow. So many things. Definitely like how much time I actually spend working on the business, whether that's accounting or marketing or Instagram, taxes, business forms, things like of that nature that I just didn't appreciate how much time it actually takes just to fundamentally run a business. Probably also just like working with clients to help them understand what I do. Most of my clients have not had a designer in the past. I'm the first designer they work with. So it takes a lot of education for them to understand that shopping is different with a designer, that like what my process is and how it works, so that we can be efficient together and work well together. That takes time, and that's taken me years to refine, to really communicate that well to people when I'm working with them. But what I find is that it goes well once we have that understanding, and then we kind of move forward on the project together.
If you weren't designing interiors, what do you think you'd be doing instead?
Oh my gosh. Well, I used to sell medicine. I worked for a biotech company, and I might have kept doing that. I probably would be like a real estate agent, because I just love houses so much, and I love working with people in like sort of that intimate home process. I'm not sure that I have thick enough skin to be a realtor, because I think it's a really hard job, but I might find myself doing that.